Sometimes when I think back, I feel like I'm slowly losing my mind. And even though I'm filled with terror and fear, I'm still confused. I need someone to believe me, to tell me I am not going insane, because maybe I am losing it. It all started when I got the call from my cousin. She is my distant cousin. We don't really talk that often, and so I was surprised that she was even calling in the first place. After several minutes of small talk, she proceeded to ask me a favor. Right then, I found it really strange that she chose to ask me and not anyone else. We had literally not spoken or seen each other in over 7 years, and she lives in another state. So you can only imagine my surprise when she asked that I house sit for her. According to her, her family was going away for a weekend and she did not trust anyone else to house sit. Of course, I thought it was weird that she didn't have anybody but me to talk to about this, but in the spirit of family, I agreed. And it turned out to be the worst mistake of my life. I got to the house just in time for when they were about to leave. The house was quaint, homely, and perfect. Maybe too perfect. As I looked around, I tried to imagine what kind of life my cousin had. I had met her 2 kids, and her husband seemed charming. We didn't have time to catch up, but my cousin was very appreciative, and that was all that mattered. A few minutes after we said our goodbyes, I was alone in the house. There was food in the fridge. I could help myself to anything, and I realized that I may actually enjoy this task. But I was wrong. I was not sure what time exactly it was, but it was dark already when I woke up from a short nap. I had fallen asleep in front of the TV, and I was preparing to go to the bedroom and get some shut-eye when I heard the noise coming from the kitchen. I paused and listened. It sounded like the banging of pots and pans, or maybe ceramic plates, like someone was doing the dishes or something. My first instinct was to think I was being pranked. This had to be some type of joke. I heard the sounds clearly. There was no question to the fact that someone was in the kitchen. So slowly, I crept towards the kitchen. The sounds were getting louder and louder, and now I was beginning to get a little creeped out. I had thought I was the only one here, prank or not. There was no way someone else came into the house while I was asleep. I had locked up. The windows were shut. I was alone in the house, so who was in the kitchen? As I came closer, I realized that I might be coming face to face with a burglar, and I should probably be holding a weapon. But suddenly, the sounds stopped. And I'm not sure where the courage came from, but I yelled, "Who's there? Show yourself!" I jumped at the entrance of the kitchen, holding my fists in front of me like it was a weapon. But there was no one there. The kitchen was totally empty. Suddenly, and I swear to you, I felt something or someone walk past me. You know that little whiff of air that blows past? I felt it, but there was no one there. I walked towards the sink, looking over my shoulder just in case, when I realized that some of the plates were still wet. Someone was just there. I didn't need any more convincing. I ran from the kitchen and headed towards the main door when I tripped and fell. But before I could get up, I heard footsteps coming towards me. When I looked, there was no one there. I was screaming now and crying when I heard a voice shush me. I stopped and tried to listen. "You have no business here," the voice said. "Leave." And just like that, the door sprung open, and without even thinking twice, I bolted. I ran as fast as I could without looking back, and I was going to hitch a ride back home. I was bare feet and terrified. I hitched a ride, and when I got in, the driver was my cousin. Her head spun 360 degrees, and she smiled at me. "You shouldn't have left our guest alone," she said. And before I could scream, I opened my eyes and found myself back on the couch in my cousin's house. Not sure if I heard footsteps or if it was my imagination, but I didn't stay 2 more seconds in that house. I left. I knew my cousin was weird, but that was creepy. Too creepy for me. It's amazing how one simple piece of information would have changed everything. After what I've been through, I'm never house sitting again. Ever. I live with my brother and my mom. I'm 19. My brother is 18. Because of the nature of my mom's work as an interior decorator, she gets to meet and make friends with a lot of people with money and nice houses. We were not doing so badly ourselves, but it did help that we knew a couple of people with big houses that were our friends. One of these people was Miss Gladys. She owned one of the biggest homes I have ever been in, and was one of my mother's close friends. The best part was that she loved my brother and me and asked us to come around and hang in her house with her often. We swam in her great pool, cooked in her kitchen, and we had fun. It was almost like she wanted us around all the time. She had lost her husband a few years ago, so we could see why she would always want us around. But it also helped that she was a pleasant lady in her early mid-30s, or so we thought. Because we were friends, and she had a huge house, you can imagine my reaction when I asked my mom if I could come house sit for her. She said she had to travel for a few days, and she would pay me to watch her house and pets. I would have done it for free, but she insisted she paid, and the money was good too, really good. I counted it as one of the nicest things Miss Gladys did, and I was more than happy to take the job. Besides, I needed the money. The first day, my brother came to stay with me in the house because it was so huge. I didn't know if I could stay there on my own, but after that, I got used to it, and the next day, I was on my own. It must have been around 8 p.m., and I was making dinner in the kitchen when I thought I heard the glass door slide open. I froze for a second to hear more sounds, but there was nothing. It was probably in my head, I thought to myself. Besides, the dogs were laying by the door. They would have barked if someone opened it. I went on preparing dinner, but I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched, and there was another presence in the house. I left the kitchen and hurried towards the main door when I saw that it was slid open. I was confused, then shocked. I glanced at the dogs, and they were still sitting there quietly. If someone had broken in, they would not be this calm, so I concluded that I probably left the door open. But as I was about to slide the door shut, I saw something on the glass. Like a stain. When I looked closely, I realized it was a palm print. Someone was here. Or was it mine? I placed my own palm on the glass to compare how the prints looked, and it was clear that the print on the glass was bigger than mine, like that of a man. I was scared now, so I grabbed the dogs and locked us in my room. I must have been there like 20 minutes when the dogs suddenly became uneasy. They kept jumping and scratching on the door, but not angrily, but like they wanted to go outside and play. I didn't know what to do, so I opened the door and out they went. For a few minutes, I heard nothing. Then I took in a deep breath and ventured outside the room. The door slammed shut the moment I came back outside, and now I was frightened. Just then, I heard my phone ring in my back pocket. I realized I had not even thought of calling anyone. It was Miss Gladys, and my hands were shaking as I answered the phone. A small gust of wind blew past me, and it was the strangest thing because I was indoors. "Is he there?" Miss Gladys asked urgently. I didn't understand. I was hyperventilating. "What?" I replied. "You're terrified. He's there," she said. Pictures hanging on the wall started to mysteriously fall down on their own accord, and I was fairly certain the house was haunted. I asked her who she was talking about, and when she replied, I ran out the nearest window and didn't stop for anything. I was beyond terrified. "My husband's ghost," she said. "Get out of there, now!"